Hey everybody, I'm Tim, the Suburban Dad. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but oftentimes when I go out searching for bourbon, I'm just kind of browsing around and I can run into the dilemma of, do I buy this bottle that I've seen and I've passed over, which I just did a video about, you can check that out, or do I hold out? Do I wait for something special to come along? Do I try something new? What should you do? We'll chat about that today. Let's get to it. There are bourbons that come out at different times of the year. So there's a lot of bourbons that are produced and that are just available all the time, pretty much the same quantity, same availability. Those are always great when you find one of those that you really like and you can just go snag it whenever you want. There's others that tend to be a little bit more special that are released only every so often throughout the year. So most people don't realize that there are times of the year where certain bottles are extremely difficult to be found and then suddenly they're released and you got to find it real quick before they get all bought up. One of those brands that does this approach is Maker's Mark. I want to have a pour of Maker's tonight. This is their first special release of 2021, the FAE-01. Now, I've already done a review on this bottle, but I miss it and I really like it a lot. So this pour is for your attention grabbing and my enjoyment. So Maker's, they started doing a special release back in 2019. They did the RC6, which I have not been able to try so far. They did SE4 PR5 in 2020. That was fantastic. Absolutely buy a bottle if you get a hold of it. 2021, they are doing two special releases, FAE-01 and FAE-02. This one was released earlier this year in the spring, March, April, I believe. And then in, I believe it's October is when the second one is coming out. So this year they're doing two. We'll see what future years hold, but you got to stay tuned for when these drop. This one I've still seen Facebook posts about people finding these here and there, so it's not terribly scarce. But it's certainly hard to find right now compared to when it was first released. These run about 65 bucks, somewhere in there. Definitely worth it in my opinion. So, cheers on that. Okay, so that's Maker's Mark. Now this is different from the store pick bottles that you'll see. They have all these cutesy fancy names, toasted caramel pound cake or grandma's cookies or summer lake house, all that kind of stuff. There are some of those that are really good. Those are not the special releases, okay? Now let's talk about Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is released 3 times a year. Okay, so there's one in January, one in May, and one in September. And on the bottle, on the label, you can see, you can know which batch it is and from what year based on the label. They label it with a letter and then 3 numbers. So the batch released first in January will be A1 and then the year. So this year would be A121. Last year was A120. So they do one in January, they do one in May, so the second one is B521. 5 for May of this year, 2021. And then September, C921. You get it. January, May, September. I've had the privilege of trying a Elijah Craig Barrel Proof batch from 2020. I believe it was B520, and it was really good. It was hot. It was 136 proof. It was very good, but intense. I look forward to trying another one. Again, you can find them if you hit a little mom and pop store, it's kind of out of the way, that gets a shipment of these and doesn't sell them all right away, then you can find them hanging around. But otherwise, like the main stores, like around here, we've got Total Wine, which is a big chain, and if you don't catch it there during the release time, it's not going to hang around. It's not going to sit on the shelf. So you got to be quick. Another one that does bottles kind of like Elijah Craig that way is Larceny Barrel Proof. I'm honestly not a big fan of Larceny. I've not tried the barrel proof yet because I've just not been motivated to, but it seems to be very popular. And they do special releases of the barrel proof 3 times a year, January, May, and September, just like Elijah Craig, labeled the same way, A121, B521, etc. So check that one out for yourself. If you have tried it, comment in the section below and let me know what you thought of it. I'm curious. Booker's. Oh my gosh, I love Booker's, guys. Booker's is typically released 4 times a year. They typically release 4 batches a year. Okay, let me back up for 1 second. Price tag on Elijah Craig Barrel Proof should be around $70. You shouldn't have to pay $80, $90, $100. Okay, 70 is retail. The Larceny Barrel Proof retails for around $45, $50, somewhere in there. Okay, Booker's. I love Booker's so much. Booker's is released 4 times a year, and they are labeled with a unique batch name. So there's, again, a fun name for the batch and then the official number for the batch. So this year, the first batch was Donahoe's batch, and it's 2021-01. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. There's going to be, and then the second one was Tag Along batch. That was 2021-02. So you get how that works. 2021-01, 21-02, 03, 04. They're released consistently, but it doesn't correlate exactly with the month, just like Elijah Craig or Larceny. And it's kind of tricky because Booker's gets distributed to different parts of the country at different times. The East Coast seems to get it first, and then it slowly makes its way through the Midwest, which is where I am. I see people posting on Facebook about getting it on the East Coast, and then a couple weeks later, I get it out here. It takes a little bit for it to travel west. I absolutely love Booker's. Unfortunately, the price went up this year, and now it retails for around $80, $85. I saw it for $93 locally here. I'm kind of snobby when it comes to prices. I try and keep it right at retail unless it's something I must have. So I try to keep it around $80, $85 for Booker's. Okay, so really big month for bourbon is September, because first you've got Old Forester Birthday Bourbon, which is a really big deal. Still haven't tried that one. That's a big unicorn in the bourbon world. Also, September, super important for the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, BTAC. So this includes Eagle Rare 17-year, it includes Thomas H. Handy, Sazerac, George T. Stagg, William LaRue Weller. All these really high-end 17, 18-year bottles. They're released 1 time a year in September. They retail for about $100, $120. Your chances of finding it at that price are ridiculously low. Unless you have a great connection with your local liquor store, you got a guy, you got to have a connection, or just be extremely lucky, or enter a raffle to be able to get one of those bottles at retail price. I remember when I first started as a young bourbon whippersnapper that I asked a buddy of mine who'd been in the bourbon for a while. I said, I heard that these bottles were being released, and I thought, whoa, 17-year Eagle Rare? George T. Stagg? That sounds fantastic. I said, hey man, if you come across these at retail, would you mind grabbing me one? I cringe every time I think about that now, because it's just the ridiculousness of being able to find multiple bottles at retail, he was very gracious enough to just say, sure thing, instead of, he was probably laughing his head off privately, but thankfully he was very polite with his message. I appreciate that, because I just did not know anything. One other bottle that I want to talk about briefly is Stagg Jr. Okay, so I did a review video of Stagg Jr. Stagg Jr. is released twice a year, and it's released in spring and fall or summer, winter. It's kind of shifted a little bit. This one is kind of mysterious because they don't explicitly lay out all the information on the label. All they give you is the proof of that bottle. And you can look up online the list of all the different batches. They just released batch 16, I think. I believe 16. Yes, for sure 16. And so you're able to tell which batch it is strictly by the proof, because each one is different, each one's unique. So you can look up online all of those and see which batch it is. Retails for $50. I've seen it go for over $200. I would pay as much as $100 for Stagg Jr. for how amazing it is. So it's double retail, but it's not nearly as high as it goes for on the secondary market. I'm going to post the link to a website called Breaking Bourbon, and it gives you a list of a calendar of the release months for the different bottles, so you can check that out. Stay tuned. I also subscribe to different distilleries' email updates like Balcones, where they keep me informed of what's coming up next. They just released a new single malt called Pilgrimage. Helps you keep up to date with what's happening from your favorite distillery and what to look out for. But absolutely join some Facebook groups and make sure you're communicating with your bourbon buddies so that way you guys can help each other find those great bottles. As always, you know what to do with the like button and the little subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching. Glad to have you with me. Cheers.